The bullet tore through my chest like a freight train derailing in slow motion, and as the world blurred to black, I realized my fiancé's smile had been a lie all along. I'd trusted him with my soul, built dreams on his whispers, only to watch him pull the trigger himself, his eyes cold as Wall Street steel. But death wasn't the end. It was a goddamn reset button, spitting me back into my 25-year-old body, heart pounding in that cramped Brooklyn apartment, 3 months before the wedding that never happened. I gasped awake on the lumpy futon, the kind that smelled like stale coffee and unwashed ambition, my phone buzzing like a hornet's nest on the nightstand. The screen glowed 6:47 a.m. July 15th, 89 days until the gala where Marcus Hale would accidentally push me down those marble stairs, framing it as a suicide to cover his father's dirty empire. Sweat soaked my tank top. The nightmare, no. The memory, clinging like humidity in a heat wave. I clutched my throat, feeling the phantom burn of that noose they said I'd tied myself. But I hadn't. Marcus had.
And his daddy.
Victor Hale, the billionaire media mogul who'd built his fortune on burying scandals deeper than Jimmy Hoffa, had bankrolled the cover-up. In my first life, I'd been Violet Kane, the wide-eyed journalist from a nowhere town in Ohio, clawing my way into New York with a beat-up laptop and a Rolodex of favors. I'd met Marcus at a rooftop party in Soho, him all charm and craft cocktails, me spilling red wine on his Tom Ford shirt. He laughed it off, called me his lucky spill, and 6 months later, we were engaged. His family, old money mixed with new sins. Victor Hale owned Hale Media Group, a beast that devoured competitors and spat out headlines tailored to the highest bidder. I'd ignored the whispers, the articles about questionable ethics in their newsrooms. Love blinds you,
Or so they say.
Hell, it deafens you too. But that morning, as I stumbled to the bathroom mirror, staring at my reflection, freckles across my nose, hazel eyes still too trusting, I vowed it wouldn't happen again. I'd rewrite the script, starting with that street vet. In the old timeline, I'd spotted him on my way to the crucial lunch with Victor, a grizzled vet named Eddie sprawled against a hydrant on Fifth Avenue, his cardboard sign reading, "Forgotten in the fight." I'd stopped, bought him coffee and a bagel, listened to his ramble about nom ghosts. It made me 10 minutes late. Victor took it as disrespect, iced me out. And Marcus? He played the peacemaker while plotting with Daddy Dearest to handle the gold-digging reporter sniffing too close to their offshore accounts. This time, no coffee run. No bleeding heart detour. I'd be early, polished, and packing a digital dagger, emails forwarded to my hidden drive, the ones I'd uncovered too late last time about Hale Media's bribes to silence whistleblowers. But revenge wasn't a solo gig. Eddie, that vet, knew things. In the aftermath of my suicide, he'd shown up at my funeral, drunk and raging about corporate vultures feeding on vets like me. He'd been a fixer for Victor back in the day, hauling bodies, metaphorical and maybe not, for the company's rise. If I saved him from the bottle, maybe he'd spill enough to bury the Hales. I showered fast, the hot water scalding away the echoes of my screams from that rooftop fall. Dressed in the black, sheath dress I'd bought for the occasion, simple, no frills, nothing to scream small-town hick, I grabbed my bag and hit the subway. The train rattled like my nerves, packed with commuters scrolling feeds poisoned by Hale headlines. Another win for American values. One blared about Victor's latest PAC donation. Bullshit. I gripped the pole, whispering my mantra. They die screaming this time. Figuratively. Mostly. The restaurant was La Grenouille, that French relic on East 52nd where power lunches came with escargot and eavesdropping. I arrived at 11:55, 5 minutes early, heart hammering like a bass drop at a trap concert. The maitre d' led me to a corner booth, velvet curtains half drawn for privacy. Victor Hale sat there, silver fox in a bespoke suit, nursing a scotch despite the hour. His eyes flicked up, appraising me like a quarterly report. Violet, he drawled, that southern lilt he'd faked since moving north. Punctual. I like that in a potential daughter-in-law. I slid in, forcing a smile that didn't reach my eyes. Mr.
Hale.
Pleasure's mine. Marcus speaks so highly of you. He chuckled, low and oily. Call me Victor. And he's smitten.
Poor boy.
But let's cut the fluff. You're a reporter. Scrappy one. From what I hear. What makes you think you fit in our world? Our world. Like it was some exclusive club. Not a viper pit. I leaned in, channeling the steel I'd forged in death. I don't think I fit, Victor. I know I do. I've got stories that could light up your feeds, real ones, not the sanitized slop. And loyalty? That's my middle name. He raised a brow, swirling his glass. Loyalty's earned. Darling. Prove it. The lunch dragged, foie gras and veiled threats. Him probing about my ambitions, me dodging with half-truths. Marcus texted midway. Babe. Killing it? Love you. I stared at the screen, bile rising. Love you too. I typed, deleting it twice before hitting send. By dessert, Victor was warming, toasting to family alliances. As I stepped out into the midday glare, I felt the first crack in their armor. Step 1. Infiltrate. That night, Marcus took me to his penthouse overlooking Central Park, all glass walls and minimalist chill. He poured champagne, his hands roaming like they owned me. Dad loved you, he murmured, nipping my ear. Said you're a keeper. I laughed. Hollow. High praise. We tumbled into bed, his body familiar yet foreign now. Every touch a reminder of the knife he'd twist later. As he slept, I slipped out, padding to his office. The laptop hummed. Unlocked, arrogance. Thy name is trust fund kid. I plugged in my thumb drive, siphoning files, encrypted emails about vet cleanups, payoffs to silence Iraq vets protesting Hale's defense contractor ties. Victor's empire wasn't just media, it was a shadow network, profiting off endless wars while discarding the soldiers like yesterday's news.
Eddie.
I needed Eddie. The next morning, pre-coffee fog, I headed back to that hydrant. There he was, same sign, same haunted eyes under a faded Yankees cap. Spare change, he rasped. I crouched, matching his level. Eddie Ramirez? 101st Airborne. His head snapped up, bloodshot eyes narrowing. Who the fuck are you? Someone who knows Victor Hale owes you more than pocket lint. I pressed a 20 into his palm, along with my card, fake name, real number. Call me. We talk. You walk away rich. Or, at least sober. He stared, then pocketed it with a grunt. Ain't no one walks away from Hale. I stood, the city pulse thumping around us. Watch me make him crawl first. The days blurred into a high-wire act. By day, I played the doting fiancé, brunches with Marcus's socialite crowd, air kisses at gallery openings. all while feeding Victor leads on puff piece stories to butter him up. Nights, I was a ghost in the machine, cross-referencing Eddie's cryptic voicemails with leaked docs. The old vet called twice that week. Voice like gravel in a blender. Hale buried my squad's claims after Blackwater went south. Said it'd tank stock prices. You dig too deep, girly, and you'll be the next shallow grave. I dug anyway. Controversy brewed when I leaked a teaser, anonymously, to a rival outlet. Hale Media's cozy with a senator pushing anti-vet bills while pocketing lobby cash. The blogs lit up. Victor's PR spun it as fake news, but the damage stuck like gum on a subway seat. Marcus noticed my edge, pulling me aside at a Hamptons weekend getaway. What's with the ice cream vibe?
Vi?
Dad's starting to ask questions. I sip my rose. Waves crashing below the deck. Just stress. Deadlines at the paper.
Lie.
I'd quit last month, citing family priorities, but really to go full shadow op. He cupped my face, eyes searching. I need you.
Babe.
We're endgame. Endgame. The word twisted like that bullet. I kissed him, tasting betrayal on his tongue. That night, as thunder rolled in from the Atlantic, I made my first controversial call, seduced the truth out of him. Not for love, for leverage. I whispered questions in the dark, feigning pillow talk vulnerability. What if your family secrets came out? Would you protect me? He tensed, then sighed.
Vi?
Dad's built something huge. Sometimes you gotta bend rules. But for us, I'd burn it all. Liar. In the old life, he'd burned me. But his slip-up? A name, Rourke, the fixer who'd handled Eddie's crew. I filed it away, the storm masking my racing pulse. Eddie met me in a dive bar off Flatbush. The kind where the jukebox stuck on Springsteen and the bartender poured regret neat. It was week 4 of my double life. The engagement ring heavy on my finger like a shackle disguised as sparkle. He slid into the booth, smelling of cheap soap and cheaper whiskey. A manila folder clutched like a lifeline. You weren't bullshitting, he muttered, sliding it over. That leak? Ballsy. Hale's shitting bricks. Inside, grainy photos from '08. Vets with placards outside Hale Tower. Faces blurred but fury sharp. Reports stamped confidential, dispose. And a memo. Victor's signature scrawled at bottom. Neutralize PR threat. No traces. I scanned it, pulse sinking to the bar's hum. This is gold, Eddie. But it's not enough. I need the kill shot. He laughed, bitter as black coffee. Kill shot? Girl. Hale's got layers. That Rourke, he's the devil's errand boy. Dumped bodies in Jersey wetlands for less than this. Rourke. Marcus's slip. I leaned in, voice low. Tell me where to find him. Eddie eyed me, weighing. Why you? Ain't love making you this crazy? Not love, I said, the word ash in my mouth. Hate. Pure. Distilled. He nodded. Slow. All right. But you pull the trigger. Don't come crying when it backfires. We plotted over greasy fries. Rourke ran a security firm in Queens. Front for Hale's wet work. Eddie had an in, a poker game where the fixer drowned regrets in bourbon. I'd pose as a high rollers +1, flash some cleavage and cash. Get him talking. Risky? Hell yes. Controversial? Infiltrating like a honey trap screamed tabloid fodder. But in America's underbelly, justice wasn't polite, It was a street fight with brass knuckles. The game was in a warehouse off the 7. Bass thumping from hidden speakers, air thick with cigar smoke and testosterone. I wore red, bold, unmissable, hair piled high, lips painted like a warning. Eddie vouched me in as Lola, from the coast, and there was Rourke, squat, scarred, nursing a tumbler like it owed him money. New blood, he grunted, eyes raking. You play? I slid beside him, thigh brushing denim. I prefer to watch. And listen. Chips clacked. Bluffs called. 2 hands in. I poured his refill, accidentally spilling a drop on his cuff. Apology led to chat, his consulting gigs, the quiet jobs for big fish. Booze loosened his tongue. Hale? Man's a visionary. Cleans up messes vets leave behind. One winner in particular, Ramirez, thought he had dirt. We showed him the river. Eddie, across the table, went rigid. I pressed, feigning awe. Sounds intense. Ever regret it? Rourke leered. Regrets for losers.
Besides,
Hale takes care of his own. Like that reporter fiancé? Marcus's girl. If she sniffs wrong. He trailed off, winking.
Chill slice me.
They were already planning my exit. I excused myself to the ladies, heart slamming, and texted Eddie, now. He nodded subtle, spiking Rourke's next drink with enough roofie to down a horse. By midnight, the fixer slumped, and we dragged him to a van, Eddie's buddy at the wheel, a fellow vet with a grudge. Interrogation happened in an abandoned lot in the Bronx, chain link rattling in the wind. Rourke came to zip-tied, spitting curses. Eddie loomed, but I stepped forward, voice calm as a loaded gun. The memo. The vets. Violet Kane. Talk, or we leak you to the feds. He sneered.
Bitch.
Hale owns the feds. I pulled out my phone. Hit play. The whole game recorded. His boasts crystal. His face drained. All right.
All right.
It was Victor's call. Post 9/11 boom. His contractors skimmed vet benefits for kickbacks.
We
Persuaded complaints to vanish. The girl? Marcus said she's trouble. Push her off the ledge. Make it look desperate. Pills in her system. Note forged. Clean.
clean.
The word echoed my autopsy report. I fought nausea, nodding to Eddie. Enough. He cracked his knuckles. My turn. What followed wasn't pretty fists. Not fatal, but enough to etch fear. Controversial? Beating intel out of a thug. In cop shows. It's heroic. In real life. It's a line crossed. But lines blur when you've danced with death. We dumped Rourke bruised in an alley. Anonymous tip to NYPD about his services. By dawn, I was back in Marcus's bed, feigning sleep, the folder burning a hole in my safe. The leak hit like a bomb, headlines screaming, Hale Media's vet scandal, execs implicated in cover UPS. Victor called a war room. Marcus pacing the penthouse, oblivious to my role. You're glowing, he said that evening. Over takeout sushi. Proud of you.
Babe.
Standing by us through the shitstorm. I smiled. Fork-piercing tuna, like his heart. Family first, but cracks spiderwebbed. Victor summoned me to his office midweek. The tower a glass monolith stabbing the sky. He paced behind his desk. Manhattan sprawling like a conquered kingdom. Violet. This leak, it's personal. You hear anything? I met his gaze. Unflinching. Rumors. Nothing solid. He stopped. Inches away. Cologne sharp as accusation. Marcus trusts you. Don't make him regret it. Threat veiled as advice. I nodded, exiting with spine straight. That night, alone, I wept for the girl I'd been, for the love I'd faked. Revenge tasted like battery acid, necessary, but corrosive. The climax brewed at the engagement gala, black tie affair at the Met, chandeliers dripping light on diamonds and deceit. I'd amped the drama, invited Eddie as my plus one, cleaned up in a rented tux, sober for the first time in years. Marcus frowned when I introduced him, old source from the beat, but Victor? His face tightened like a noose. Champagne flowed. Small talk soured. Midway, as strings swelled, I pulled Victor aside in an alcove, Eddie flanking like a shadow. We need to talk. His eyes darted. Not here.
Now.
I thrust a USB drive into his palm, everything, Rourke's confession, memos, even a forged suicide note in Marcus's hand from my old life, replicated by a forger pal. Your empire's built on bones. Vets like Eddie.
Me.
Almost. Step down. Or this hits every wire by morning. He paled, then laughed, cold. Calculating. Blackmail? From my future daughter-in-law? Marcus will love this. Eddie growled, but I held up a hand. Marcus is next. He pulled the trigger in my head. Victor. Planned it all. Confusion flickered. What the hell? Twist hit like vertigo. Marcus burst in, face thunderous. Vi? Dad? What's this? I'd miscalculated. Not the revenge, the timing. Victor pocketed the drive.
Smirking.
Your girl's gone rogue.
Son.
Leaks. Threats. We handle it. Like always. Marcus's eyes, my fiancé's eyes, hardened. I told you she was digging. Betrayal doubled. Fresh as the first. But Eddie? He lunged. Veteran reflexes sharp. Tackling Victor as sirens wailed, my anonymous tip, finally paying off. Chaos erupted. Guests scattering. Flashes popping. Marcus grabbing my arm. You bitch. All this time, I wrenched free. Voice steel. You first. Killer. Cops swarmed. Cuffs clicking on Victor and Marcus mid-protest. Rourke flipped under pressure, singing like Sinatra. By week's end, Hale Media crumbled, stocks tanked, feds raiding servers, headlines devouring the devourer. The fallout was a media circus, paparazzi swarming my Brooklyn walk-up like locusts on a drought-struck field. I holed up with Eddie, his tiny Astoria apartment a bunker of takeout boxes and AA chips. You did it, kid. He rasped over lukewarm pizza. CNN droning Victor's mugshot in the background. Hale's rotting in Rikers. Marcus too, conspiracy. Fraud. The works. I nodded, staring at the ring I'd pawned for bail money. We did it. But victory hollowed me. Sleepless nights replayed Marcus's plea in the squad car. Vi. It was Dad's idea. I loved you, swear. Lies. All lies. Or was it? Intercepted calls from the trial painted him as reluctant pawn. Victor the puppet master. My controversial call? Testifying against both. Painting Marcus blacker than he deserved. The DA offered a deal, leniency for him if he ratted Dad. I whispered no. fueling the prosecution's fire. Mercy? Not in my vocabulary anymore. Twist unraveled in a deposition room. Fluorescent buzz like angry bees.
Marcus.
Orange jumpsuit and hollow-cheeked. Begged through plexiglass. Read the letter.
Vi.
The real one. A guard slid it over. Handwritten. Dated the day before my fall.
Babe.
Dad's forcing my hand. Meet me on the roof at midnight. We'll run Mexico. Anywhere.
Love. M.
Forged?
No.
His scrawl matched the love notes I'd burned. Doubt cracked my armor. Had I reborn wrong? Misread the script? Eddie found me chain-smoking on the fire escape. Rain sheeting the city like tears. Second-guessing. Everything. I flicked the butt. Sparks dying in the puddle below. What if I torched the wrong bridge? He lit his own. Exhalations ghosts in the mist. War ain't clean. Violet. You saved my ass. Expose the rot. That's when enough. But it wasn't. The trial dragged into fall. Leaves turning like loyalties. Victor took the stand. Silver tongue unspooling yarns of misunderstandings, painting me the vengeful harpy. Jurors leaned in. America's fascination with fallen titans. Marcus? He crumbled, confessing under cross. She was collateral. Dad said expose her ethics breach, fabricated stories for clicks. The push. It was panic. Ethics breach? My gut twisted. In the old life, I'd ignored Victor's nudge to spike a piece on arrival. Refused. And he'd planted the seed, doctored emails, making me look corrupt. Marcus knew. Covered for Daddy. Then silenced me when I dug too deep. Controversy peaked when I leaked the letter, my final play. Tabloids exploded. Fiancé's suicide note forgery? Hale airs love or lie. Public splintered. Justice for Violet versus Free Marcus. Twitter wars raging like civil unrest. Protests outside the courthouse. Vets chanting Eddie's name. Counterpicket from Hale loyalists screaming fake news witch hunt. Climax hit closing arguments. Courtroom packed tighter than a rush hour queue. I sat front row. Eddie's hand on my shoulder like an anchor. The prosecutor eviscerated Victor, a man who profited from patriotism while discarding its heroes. Then Marcus's lawyer, a lover betrayed, driven to despair by her own ambition. Objection overruled. I stood, voice echoing off oak panels, invited testimony. My Hail Mary. I didn't jump.
He pushed.
But the letter? It's real. Marcus wanted out.
Victor.
He made monsters of us all. Gasps rippled. Victor's glare could curdle milk. But Marcus? Tears tracked his face. A nod so slight I almost missed it. Forgive?
No.
But understanding? Maybe. Verdict dropped like a gavel guillotine. Victor. Life plus fines that'd beggar dynasties. Marcus. 20 to life. Eligible parole in 10. As marshals hauled them, Victor spat. You'll rot alone. Girl. Alone. The word lingered post-trial. Apartment echoing emptier than my inbox. Eddie moved in platonic. A brother forged in fire, turning the place into a vet outreach hub. My reparations project. I wrote a book. Reborn in ink. Anonymized but raw. Bestseller that funded scholarships for forgotten soldiers. Controversy clung, lawsuits from Hale remnants. Death threats from MAGA fringes decrying my deep state takedown. But America ate it up. The drama. The redemption arc. One gray December dawn. Snow dusting the bridge. I met Marcus in the visitor's yard. last time. Per my rules. Chain link between us. He looked small. Human.
Vi.
You came. Closure. Wind whipped. Carrying Hudson's chill. The letter. Why fake it now? Wasn't fake. Never was.
Dad.
He broke me long before you.
Pause.
Eyes pleading. You happy? I thought of Eddie brewing coffee. Stories pouring from my pen. The city no longer a cage. Learning to be. He nodded. Gone when guards called time. Walking out. Sun cracking clouds. I felt the weight lift, not gone, but lighter. Rebirth wasn't erasing scars, it was wielding them like weapons, then sheathing for peace. Back home, Eddie raised a mug. To second chances. I clinked mine. And third. In the end, revenge wasn't the fire that consumed, it was the forge that remade. Victor's empire ashes. Marcus's ghost a lesson. My life, a blank page. Inked with possibility. America's underbelly scarred me. But damn if it didn't make me unbreakable.